morning. Slightly earlier start, 7 a.m. The birds are chirping and the church bell has just finished ringing. Slightly longer day today to Carnaveral, or Carnaveral. I think we've got about 33 k's to do today. Weather forecast is good. I think top temperature of around 25, 26, so interesting. I don't know, but the weather seems to be getting a little cooler, but it could be just imagining things. I haven't been here that long, but in any case, feeling good. As I said, we've got a couple of big days ahead of us, tomorrow and the next day in particular. Will be long days, so we'll be really rocketing north over the next 3 days. Nothing much to report, just heading out through town here. We'll pick up the trail on the other end of town, and I'll touch base once we get a bit of sunrise, perhaps in about half an hour, 45 minutes or so. Just some lovely colours ahead there. Some early autumn reds and greens of the shrubs on the side of the road here, and obviously the pretty stone walls here. It's that is very nice, actually. The road that we're walking along seems to be, in general, along a ridge line, because you get fantastic vistas into the valley that way. And if we look over to the right, hang on a tick, you get magnificent vistas into the valley that way. I'll just wait for that wall to shrink in size. We seem to have moved from the road into now a private property. Trail's still very good, you can see, but it's not a formally made road as it was before. Got our little signage there. Yeah, this is quite nice, and it's interesting, even from starting off this morning, what that would be, I don't know, 10 k's ago or something. Already here it looks like the rainfall might be just fractionally higher just in these hills here, just from the vegetation. I'm just looking at there the footprints of the other walkers that have come before me. Maybe not today, but maybe over the last couple of days. Grind up this hill here. There you go, that was easy, wasn't it? Not really. more rolling hills and winding paths, and yeah, it's lovely up here. Sort of feels like I'm walking through the scene of a American Western movie. Slightly arid, but with a bit of greenery. There's a few sheep around. You'll be happy to know I'm not here on my own. They're looking over me and keeping an eye on me. Lots of gates to walk through. That's probably the downside, but still, it's not a problem. Okay, just coming off a rise here, and in the distance there, hopefully you can see there is a lake of sorts. Probably going to be out of view pretty soon, but I assume we'll be bordering that lake. It's probably at least another 40 minutes walk, I think, from here. You take your dogs for a walk in Spain. You take the car and the dogs run after the car there. You probably can't see it because it's too far into the distance, but gee, those dogs are working hard. I hope they don't travel too far. It's a van, so they can stop at any stage and throw the dogs in the back. So, but lovely dogs. They weren't galgos, they were just other breeds. I put a bit of spaniel in one of them. But yeah, okay, no, they've stopped there. It's good news. I felt a bit uneasy there for a while. They've stopped there and they'll let the dogs, I assume, get into the boot or into the rear of the car. Let's face it, cars can move very, very quickly and cover a lot of distance very quickly. So, you're a dog. They didn't stop to check me out at all. There were no savage attacks, happy to say. I did see earlier on in the trip, in fact, just out of Seville, there was a chap on a moped and or a quad bike, and he had galgos, but they were all, I think he had 4 galgos, which are, I said before, they're like similar to a greyhound, but they're very heat tolerant. And he was training those dogs. They were all on leash. He perhaps wasn't going as fast as this car was going. But yeah, the dogs seem very happy and content. In fact, these dogs seem pretty happy and content as well. Okay, the car's now, as I'm approaching, just pulling off. So they've obviously given the dogs a bit of a break, and off they go again. Oh God, that would be that'd be hard yakka. There's one solitary dog making it up the road, and the other ones are in the greenery off to the right. Oh, good on them. I hope they're okay. Okay, the car's out of sight now. Ciao. Just on a winding trail now. I assume this interconnects with the road at some point in time, but slower going, still not a bad path, but quite hilly, rocky in sections, but not too bad. You can see that lake there in the distance. Back on the road again. The trail down from the top of that mountain to the road is fairly rutted and rocky, so it is slower going, but obviously we have to be on the road to get across these So, but look, the good news is this road is very quiet actually. We'll just see how much water is down in this valley here. I can see a whole group of walkers up ahead there. Gee, there must be about 10 of them, or maybe not as many as that, 6 at least. Okay. So you can see. Oh, it's lovely, really. Just ready to cross our second bridge here. Look, not a bad walk on the road. As I say, it's not that busy, but I think there are 2 options to our destination. We can either stay on this road, or there is a Camino path that does peel off to the right up here. So I think no, I prefer to get off the road. I believe the distance is shorter, but no, I'd rather just I'd rather stick to the Camino and see it through. Wide expanses of water and cars. There's a just over there you might see, we will see. I think, well actually, no, that's a train line. In fact, one thing I've noticed, look down here, there's a guy on a push bike crossing this oh, you can't see that. He's crossing this, or person crossing this bridge. And the trucks had to stop, and the car, because there was a car in the other direction, or 2 cars had to stop as well. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the drivers are very patient here, which is great. I don't know if drivers and walkers are a good mix here. One thing I should tell you too, this walk today doesn't really have any stops on it. I mean, obviously you'll stop for breaks and whatever, but there's no townships on it. So unfortunately that means eons of water. Buenos dias. You've got to carry everything and food. So it makes it for a heavy pack, but look, it's getting lighter as I'm getting through it, so you can see the water down there. We've just gained some altitude there. The walk up from that second, the end of the second bridge, is indeed steep and winding. So I'm not sure the official, don't know whether I could read that properly, but the official Camino indications were to stay on the road. And look, to be honest, if you were, hopefully you can hear this, if you were exhausted or hurting or whatever, I would probably advise you to do that, because that last climb was quite significant and quite rapid. I think we've probably gone up near on, oh, maybe 50 to 100 metres, but it's hard to predict. But the trail was also not particularly great. This path here is okay. rocky in sections, but a lot better than the initial goat trail that we took up from the bridge. So yeah, you've got the options, but if you're feeling probably just a bit low on energy and whatever, maybe stick to the road there. After all, it's about preservation, and there's some big days ahead, I think. Just a shot from the trail up here. I think we're, from the maps, we're roughly tracking parallel to the road. This track, I mean, it's obviously, look at this, it's as arid as anything up here. It's I think it's following the train line, and look, put it this way, the track is fantastic compared to what it was earlier. It's relatively level now and not bad walking. I mean, as you can see, quite rocky, but a vast improvement over the climb from the bridge. So probably not the most picturesque. It's almost a bit like walking through a bit of a desert here at the moment, but there's a nice breeze and the weather's good, so no concerns there. And I stopped for a break earlier, and would you believe it, I was had 6 walkers past me. That were those walkers I could see before. Can you believe it? 6. Camino Francis, eat your heart out. So we seem to be all a bit bunched there. Mind you, of the walkers, only 2 were familiar to me. The others are, again, either new entrants, people who have walked to catch up, or people that we're catching up to. So in any case, it's perhaps not a bad thing to have a few punters out here. But yeah, Carnaveral is, I think it's about 8 kilometres from here. So based on these paths, yeah, at least an hour and a half, I would say. Anyway, we'll keep plodding on. You can see Carnival just there in the distance. I think it's probably about 5 k's away. Cows eating hay, keeping me company. In fact, walking before, we were actually walking through the paddock with the cows, but fortunately, even though they had horns on them, some of them, they kept their distance, which is good. They seem very relaxed, just happy to swish flies away with their tails and munch on the hay there. And Carnival is, I think, nestled in the base of those hills over there, just slightly off to the left. Exactly. How are you going, sweetheart? Hey? What's up? Number 122. Dear animal. Just coming into Carnaveral, or Carnaveral. Excuse the pronunciations. It's a little windy here, so also excuse any wind noise that's in the headphones. You can just make out the road just over there, and near that bridge, and that bridge is the train bridge. So that's what we've essentially been, excuse the pun, tracking along or following, coming into town here. We'll soon join up with the road that will carry us into town. Yeah, quite a pretty setting in the mountains here, but again, I think it's one of these places they must get some very, very hot days out here. Hi there, just I feel a bit better now. I've just fatted up on lunch, which was very nice. So there was a restaurant that was open in town that I found. It was chock-a-block full of workers who I think might be working on one of the roads or railway lines in the area. So I've had a delicious meal of a salad and some steak, which is great, a beer, in any case. So that's all done. I'm just walking back to the hotel now. In terms of the walk today, look, I'm happy to be here. Probably that last 10 Ks was harder going, just harder surface with the stones, and hopefully I'll find my way back to the hotel from here, with the stones and the surface quality. And as I said, then we also had to deal with that climb because it was up on a plateau, so we had to climb up from where that bridge finished. So I'm a little nervous if tomorrow's walk is very long, like 39 kilometers I think, and the day after is also the same. If they're on tracks like that, that will be a real grind, let me tell you. Quite pretty this morning. I enjoyed the walking. This afternoon, perhaps didn't enjoy it as much, but then maybe I was getting a little tired. Sorry, I'm just grinding up a hill here and my belly is full of food. Looks like I'm back to the sort of main street in town, but it's siesta time. I've got no idea where I am, as usual. So all in all, look, happy to be here. In a way, my nature is that I'm going to be very happy to finish off the next 2 days after this. Just they seem like they're going to be long days with not many places in between. Sorry for the glasses. Not many places in between, and that can be a bit of a grind. But anyway, it will be what it is. But I'm feeling okay. I'll get in, wash my gear, settle down, get my stuff in order for tonight, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Ciao. Well, good morning. Buenos dias. The clock has just struck 7 and we're off on our way to Carcaboso. Just looking there, oh whoops, I've gone dark. The bread store is open. The panaderia. We're just walking out of town here on Calle Real, which is the Royal Street, and this is heading north at the moment, taking us out of town. A good night's sleep, stayed in a fantastic hotel, or Casar. I think it's a very old house that's been, I don't know whether it might have always been a guest house, but I suspect I was the only person there. I mean, obviously I stayed in my room, but had obviously a lot of other rooms there, maybe about 7 or 8 rooms. Super quiet, big room, and just, yeah, fantastic. So that was a very positive experience. So yeah, Carcaboso. I looked at the trip details again. There's a possibility that you can pick up the original Roman road from just before a place called St. Gil, and that may actually prune, would you believe it, a couple of kilometres off the trip. So I think I calculated it to be about 36 and a half kilometres today. So still a longer day. Let's see what the path quality is like. There are no towns on this walk today. You can actually break the walk by just going off the Camino. So there are options there. In some cases you've got to go off 650 metres, in some cases it's a couple of kilometres, right? In any case, we're going to push on and see how we go. Again, another good day forecasted. Doesn't feel too cool here, but we shall see. Okay. Just making our way through the mountains. You saw the hills behind Carnaveral yesterday, and I think that's what we're walking through at the moment. It's light enough to see where I'm walking, but I don't know how it'll come out on the camera. But look, so far a fairly nice walk. It actually is pleasant walking through this pine forest here. In some stages where it's quite thick, the pine needles make it feel like you're walking on velvet. It's just lovely, so soft and quiet. Though there is obviously an uphill section to get to this level, and I think part of it was designed by Satan's mother. It was a bit of a steep push at one part there, but we seem to be over the worst of that now. The path is not too bad, a bit rocky in places, but and a bit stony in places, but not too bad. I think we're making pretty good pace here, and you can see from ahead we're about to, I think, come out into a valley, or let's just see what it presents. These are the sort of the moments I love in walking, where you can sort of rise up and then have a look out at what you've achieved and the vistas that you've worked for. Okay, now you're not going to see any of that on the camera, but essentially, yeah, more pine trees probably for the next couple of kilometres, grazing land, and another set of mountains, probably some maybe 20 kilometres away there in the distance, and we can see even the main road there is also, as usual, winding up beside us. Okay. Welcome. Well, we're out of the pine forest and walking by Club. Oh, that'll be reversed on the camera, won't it? El Puerto. Interestingly, it's a brothel, and part of the Camino takes you through the car park that we can see here. It's a brothel with bars on the window. Interestingly, the guide, and it is quite amusing, states that first thing that walkers should know is that there are no discounts for pilgrims. So be it. And they go on to mention that in any case, it won't be open. It's only open at night. Well, I can tell you, based on the hours that some pilgrims leave in the morning, which is very early in the morning, I won't be surprised if it's still pumping, so to speak. Okay, so that was quite amazing, quite an amusing tidbit there from the guide. Okay, this is beautiful walking here. We've got our mates, the cork trees, back again. Good quality path. You can hear the drone of cars there off to the right, but yeah, this is, I like this sort of walking. This is lovely, very soft underfoot. And even on a hot day, this would be maybe okay. At least you're getting a little bit of shade from the trees there. But most pleasant. Fingers crossed this lasts for about 20 kilometres, but it may not. But still, I'll make the most of it while I'm here. Don't know whether you can quite see that. We're in the same paddock with cows here. There's another two up here. Always a bit fearful that that one of them could go you, and those horns look very sharp. Nevertheless, we'll see how we go. There is, I think in the UK, there have been cases where, as you walk through private property and the like, that the cows can get a little aggressive towards you. I'm getting nervous here because there is a cow just grazing on the side of the path here, and it has enormous horns. This one here, I'm okay. Just eat, please. Gee, I tell you what, it's as safe as houses probably, but it doesn't half get you a chill up the spine. Such large animals. Oh no, sorry, it seems to be sort of following me now. It's probably my imagination playing tricks on me more than anything, but yeah, it's I think the farmer's up here somewhere, because all the cows seem to be they're females, so I think they're milking cows. They seem to be heading home. So, sweetheart, please just stay there. Jeez. Imagine that. Or how did your holiday go? It was fine. I was gored by a cow. I'm not wearing any red. I don't know if that's a furphy as well, but anyway, look, well, I'll keep my powder dry. They seem to be moving away from me, so maybe I'm coming across as the aggressor. I'll use my poles as pretend horns, just to try to make myself look bigger. Okay, ciao. Just walking through, I think these are just linked up private properties. Sun is coming over that hill there. This is lovely walking. It's cool. There's no breeze as such yet, but I suppose we're a little protected here. But the path is in good condition. You have to watch where you're walking, of course, because there are rocks and stones, but it's soft underfoot and relatively flat, so it's actually very good moving, which is pleasant. Just nice winding our way through these shrubs here. This is hilarious. These are my latest colleagues. In fact, I've just met a guy from Australia walking the Via de la Plata. So now I'm rousing some sheep. There they go. Got a bit of pace going there. They're making a bit of dust for me though, if I was really picky. But no, they're making a good pace. They look healthy. I feel like I'm doing the farmer's job for them here. But this is lovely. You can hear the melody of the lead one there. But yeah, they probably hate me because I'm pushing them along a bit. I think their natural pace might be a fraction slower than my walking pace, so I seem to be gaining on them from time to time. But they're spurring me on here. They're driving me ahead in search of the sheep after being scared of the cows earlier. The cows, las vacas. Now I'm getting revenge. The sheep, but they've got nothing to worry about for me. But I don't think there's going to be any way I'm going to be able to overtake these beautiful animals. I just hope they don't stir up too much dust. A bit too late for that. Anyway, they probably hate my guts, but I'm just trying to do what I can. Okay. Just heading still through the plains here. Managed to get rid of those sheep, which was no doubt a great relief to them. Look, I hope I didn't scare them too much. But yeah, just getting a little revenge following on from the fear that those cows put through me earlier. But yeah, the plains here are nice. It's great walking through here. So you need to be careful where you walk, but the paths are in good condition. Narrow as you can see, but for one walker it's not a problem. And you can move through relatively quickly. It's just very peaceful being in here, sort of walking that I really enjoy. Just some shots here through a bit of a rise that we've come over. Wonderful walking, very quick walking. In fact, look, the only thing that really slows you down is the opening and closing of the gates. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this. This has been wonderful, and obviously, in comparison to yesterday afternoon, this is very nice, very easy to take. So. Well, this is pleasant. Walking past another lake now, but in a more picturesque environment than perhaps yesterday. So it just seems to be I mean, it's obviously for drinking purposes. I assume it's a catchment for something, but well, this is a bit of a contrast to our beautiful oak forests that we've been walking through, or fields that we've been walking through. We've got a section, I think, along the road here for a while, and then we'll peel off to the left. The good news is it's not on the road. And actually the path's in pretty good nick. So, can't complain about it. Perhaps not as pretty, but let's see. It looks, I mean, obviously, it looks fairly arid here. More just bushes, shrubs. I imagine we'll have this for at least the next hour or so. Just a bit of a climb up there to this series of valleys we're in there. Can I say, with some very intimidating mountains beyond. So it won't be long before we're in those, maybe another day or so. Now that you probably can't make out, but well, you might just make out there is a village there in the distance. I think that's Grimaldo. Unfortunately, that's not our stop for today. It's not my stop for today. My stop is about another 6 or 7 k's on, I think. But it looks like a lovely village from here. This is rather pleasant. It's like a country lane. You probably won't see that. It's pretty much in the distance there, but that's Grimaldo. You make out a church, a spire to the church. And it looks like it's a walled city as well. It looks very pretty. It's obviously irrigated pasture here. We haven't seen that. You haven't seen that for quite a while. So it's amazing what a bit of water can do. And those cows up ahead there, brown and white, are very, very happy, no doubt. Some extremely happy cows. They have really irrigated these fields here. Almost to the point, it was sort of absurd back there. The water runoff from the field, there was a gully just on the right hand side of the road here, and the water was running off from the irrigation water was running off from the pasture back into the gully, and I assume they're pumping it, they're picking it up downhill further, and they're pumping it back up to the top of the fields there. So yeah, they're watering it to the point of water runoff, which is extreme. Anyway, it is lovely here, I must say. Just pushing on. This is apparently aligning with some sort of older Roman route. Little Burgo there. Some older Roman route. And we're just running off to the side of Grimaldo, which is there. You can see the walled town just in the distance there. But given tomorrow's going to be a big day, I thought I'd just push on, and I'll try this other Roman route. Okay. Hello. And walk with some of the locals for once. There you go. This is the little hamlet of St. Gil. Just opposite there. They've got accommodation and the like, but I think, well, push on And this sign there, Channel, Camino Graal number 10. This fantastic Roman construction here, consisting of asphalt, it's apparently one of the original Roman ways. So this will take us into Carcaboso. Sorry. Let's hope there's not too many cars on this road. It does feel really quiet. St. Gillen, the distance there, and indeed we're it's the time, it's 1:30, so we're getting to siesta hours. So anyway, we'll see what this is like. Corn, anyone? So I've seen on the walk, my first cornfield. I think moving back here, they're propagating olives, I think. You've got our Roman road here, which to be honest is good walking. It's very quick. I've had only one car toward me so far, so it is very quiet. And then we've got wind turbines in the background there, and more fields of olives. Gee, there's a lot of olives in this country. Well, just plugging on the road here. Feels a bit like we're in Colorado now. Wide open plains here. I might have been wrong about those crops that they were planting a bit earlier. I said they were olive trees. I don't think they are. I think these ones here are a more mature version, and they have, I don't know what they are. Look, I suspect that they're some kind of nut. I don't think they're a fruit per se. You can see you can see the fruit on the trees, but they're about 3 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. Maybe they're walnuts. This is just the meandering country path that's going to take us into Carcaboso, which is, you can just see over there. So not far now. It has been a long walk. I suppose we knew it was going to be a long walk. It's it's now 3 o'clock, so I'd say we'll be in town in probably a quarter of an hour. So that's been a decent day. Good morning from Carcaboso. Off to Aldea, Aldeanueva del Camino, which rough translation means new town or new village of the Camino. It's a fairly long walk, 39 k's. I think I'll feel it when I get there. And there's really no towns in between. There is one potential stop in the middle at a place called Caparra, where there are some Roman artifacts and ruins. Hang on a tick. Gonna get run over here in town. Seemed to shape up okay from yesterday. It was a long day, and my apologies, I didn't recap on it. Love the mornings walking through those fields and forests. Magnificent. Got my first arrow for the day. That's a confidence booster. The second part of the day, look, from St Gil, the path that I took, I thought was going to have a little more. I did talk about, you know, heads out via some sort of Roman way. Look, it might have been, but obviously you can see it was just a road. But got to see her eventually. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the day ahead. Weather's forecast to be good, top of 24, so perfect conditions for walking. We're about to leave the village here, and I'll connect up with you once there's a bit of light out there. It's just the sun is just coming up slowly, just showing you a clip through the valley we've come from. In fact, I don't think there's a town there just straight ahead, but I think we might have walked a little further than that, but maybe not. As we head over the mountains there. So we're just, it's a bit of a rise here, so good photo opportunities. Paths have been good this morning, and the way out of town is relatively well signposted, though there was a point back there with arrows pointing straight ahead and to the right. For what it's worth, I took the one straight ahead and seem to have done okay, so I haven't ended up in any misery here. Very quiet. Some of my sort of favourite format of walking, it's very similar to yesterday morning. Through the fields of cork trees. The cows are keeping their distance. You can see it's even a little sandy underfoot there, which is nice for a weary walker. So yeah, this is most enjoyable. There you go. I'm on the Camino there. I've got my signage. Everything's going well so far. Looks like the farmlands have opened again into some plains here. The going's good though, happy to know. Good quality paths today. Nice underfoot. Breezes come up, as you could probably hear in the mic. And yeah, just making our way through. It is a little more treed ahead, so I think we'll be going back into treed pasture soon. And Caparra, the Roman ruins of Caparra are about, I think it's probably about an hour away. This is quite lovely here. I don't know whether you can see, but in the path here it's turned pink. There are these lovely lilac flowers just growing through the ground. Gee, they must be hearty, because it does seem, the ground seems fairly firm here. Look at them all through here. Literally the entire path is pink. Isn't that special? See if we can get some with some sun on it. Wow. And there they are there. Oh, amazing. It's a real treat. And it's just a little patch. It's probably, I don't know, 40, 50 metres long. And then it ends. Oh well, special while it lasted. This is where the mighty Via de la Plata hits Caparra, Roman village of Caparra, which it's a lovely name, Caparra. This is almost as lovely as that bloke whippersnipping the sights here with one of those confounded or petrol whippersnippers. What a pain in the ass that is. So, I mean, it's nice to be here, but yeah, you can see obviously remnants of buildings and houses here. And remnants of, he stopped for a while, which is very decent of him. Look, I suppose you've got to keep these things under control, right? Otherwise, it could easily get taken over. But that's magnificent. Well, there's a gate to this magnificent city, town, and you'll be happy to know that the guy on the whippersnipper stopped it for me. It's a real privilege. There's supposed to be a visitors centre here somewhere. I'm not quite sure. Some ruins in there. Not quite sure how this is all laid out. Now, look, I suspect the Roman bits are the lower bits. It looks like it's been added on to over time. Which is fair considering it's a couple of thousand years. Some diggings under there. Just see how beautiful this area is without a whippersnipper. In fact, it'd be nice if whippersnippers were banned worldwide. There's a nice chair there. I might just come and sit there and have a bit of a bite to eat on the way back. It's a nice location how it looks into the valley here though. Obviously well positioned for breezes, for water. It would have been obviously well planned out. Well, just like in Merida, but on a smaller scale. They've got their own amphitheatre here. Look at that. Not as big. That would be 50 metres in diameter. Still, quite an achievement. Well, had a lovely little stay here at Caparra. Had a look through the visitor centre. And actually there's a chap there, he asked where I was from. And even stamped my credential, which is a, you know, it's a document that pilgrims have. Ahead, I called this a gate earlier. This is what we walked through. It's actually called the Arch. So apologies there. But yeah, no, I had a nice little stay. Purchased a soft drink. And it's interesting, if this sort of facility was in Australia and you purchased a soft drink there, the soft drink here was €1, which is at current rates it's about $1.50 Australian. If this same facility were something like this in Australia, you wouldn't have got much change out of $4 for that soft drink. we have a way of fleecing people at home, unfortunately. So Caparra. Oh, one thing I should also mention too is that for the Via de la Plata, this arch is the image that's portrayed on a lot of the Via de la Plata guides, the signage on the roads and everything. So this is essentially the symbol that they've used for the walk, and perhaps they'll be fitting because it's somewhat almost halfway. What is it? Almost halfway through the almost halfway through. Oh, we're not quite there, but yeah, it's quite impressive and huge. Just heading through another one of these laneways between two properties. Very protected in here, and good walking. Wide open expanses here. Couple of happy cows over there, and literally mountains all around. Very nice. Path is still good. Walking's been good today so far. Look, a little stony, a little rocky in places, but overall, considering the distance we've travelled, probably over 20 k's now, it's been good going. Can't complain. Just back on the road again. I think there is a path off to the right, but it looks a bit ratty, and look, depending on the shoes you've got and whatever, it's sometimes easier, a little less arduous doing the road. So given we're doing a few k's today, I did see some other walkers ahead, and there is an arrow on the sign coming up, so I think, well, look, either the path off the side or the road is still pretty much the Camino. So not much to report. Just stopped for a bite to eat for lunch, picnic, found a nice shady area there that was very pleasant. There's our arrow. I think this is basically taking us on a trajectory to hit the main freeway again. Which I think we'll be walking alongside or around for a while based on the travel plan that I've been reading. Back on a different road this time. Sort of walking through the valley here, but those intimidating mountains are right in front of us now. So, like, the long and short of it is we're going over those. I just hope the Spanish pioneers and the Romans chose a route that is relatively flat, considering the size of those mountains up ahead. I'm sure they did the right thing by us. We shall see. I mean, definitely they're not going over the top of something like that. That is just huge, right? Not far from Aldeanueva now, and we've got a very quaint little path between two properties here that we're just winding our way through. Yeah, very nice. I mean, slightly tougher going and uphill, but the surface isn't that great, but still we're getting there. Very nice. That's where we've come from, over there somewhere. Welcome to Aldeanueva, del Camino. So, look, it's good to be here. I've got to be honest, not a bad day's walk. In some regards, what's the time now? It's just before 3:30, and I pulled into Carcaboso yesterday roughly at the same time. So, and I felt, to be honest, I think the walk to Carcaboso was actually more difficult than this one today, even though it's supposed to be shorter. I don't know really whether it was. I think that approach via St Gil and that reported Roman road, which to be honest was probably a bit of an anticlimax, may not be as short as the guides recommend, and maybe you're better off walking via Galistio and just going the standard route. Anyway, it's good to be here. I'll try to find somewhere to eat, find some accommodation, and I'll do a recap later. Just heading through to my accommodation now. I had a fantastic lunch. Menu del Dia. They had a magnificent grilled chicken. It was really, really good. So I feel good now. The walk today, I reckon the walk yesterday was tougher than the walk today, even though supposedly this is a little further. I think most of the walking today is pretty good on level surfaces and good quality surfaces in general, right? As a little later in the piece it gets a little tougher, but overall the walking today was pleasant. 39 something Ks. I'm sort of happy to have it behind me. But I don't think it was, as I say, as bad as or as long as yesterday. Shorter day tomorrow, which is good news, but we are, I think, heading into the hills a bit. So that will be an interesting experience, but probably a later start. And I'll connect up with you then. Well, good morning. This is indeed a treat. Even though it's still fairly dark, I think there's a bit of cloud cover this morning, coming back into light here. It's about 7:45, so it's a considerably later start, or at least an hour later. And we've got a shorter walk today to Calzada de Bejar, in the order of about 22 kilometres. Which should be a nice reprieve from the distance yesterday and the day before that. Good night's rest. Nothing really to report. I don't know whether you can see in the distance there. There are some nasty clouds forming, and behind it's also fairly dark as well, so we might be in for some rain finally. We'll see. The route today seems to follow up through the valley, not necessarily parallel with the roads, but tracking them, obviously the Via della Plata. So whatever route the Romans took is what we'll be walking today, which is comforting in a way. We'll catch up soon. Well, you know, yesterday I talked about us obviously following the Roman road and taking the easy way through the mountains here. Well, we're doing that, but we really are following the Roman road. In fact, we're on the road. In fact, have been for a couple of kilometres now, and will be until we get to the next town, which is a bit of a bummer. And then I don't like, I mean, that was a good driver, right? He or she was pulled out and slowed down, but you can see the verge here is really narrow, and not only that, there's got metal protective edging here to stop cars going into the gutter. But it's sometimes nice as a walker to not have that there. But look, I suppose it is a road, so they're the benefits and downsides of cutting through the valley. And look at this, now there is a semi-trailer type coming our way, and not only that, you know, you've got the wind rush as they go by and whatever. Anyway, probably not fantastic road walking per se, but it's a reality of the Camino. This isn't the most busiest of roads, fortunately, but it's busy enough for me not to particularly like it too much. But hang on, he's going at a very fair pace though. Nice bloke. Look, they know there's signage everywhere here saying that Peregrino's in the area, right? So they know we're here. Can I just say the sun's making its way over the mountains there. The views are quite spectacular with that heavy cloud that's basically covering the tops of those hills above. But this so far has been what I thought was going to be maybe a little arduous out of the valley we were in yesterday, is actually not too bad at all. It's relatively flat, so yes, they've cut this through the mountain very well. Anyway, I thought I'd just give you the update there. Very picturesque. I could do with less cars and trucks, but what do you do? Okay. Well, welcome to Banos de Montemar. I think this is the first village. We've got actually another one after this before we reach our destination today. So it's sort of nice having a little township in between. I might just stop here for a drink. You'd be happy to know that coming into town there was a lovely little church there that I took a photo of, and at that moment one of the local caretakers fired up his whippersnapper. So I've had dogs, cows, mind you they've all been very gentle, and now whippersnappers to contend with. There was a little bit of rain, a tiny bit, just a few droplets on the walk into town here, but really nothing to worry about. but I've got my poncho at the ready, just in case. But it's a very pretty village, just nestled in the hills here. Well, I suppose I can't complain. I've had, I think 2 weeks and 1 day without any rain. This is not particularly heavy rain, but it's enough to get the backpack cover out and the poncho. The good part about this poncho is that I don't need to carry an EPIRB if I get lost. They'll be able to spot me from the moon. Just climbing out of town here, and it's a very steep climb. But yeah, stopped, had a drink, sorted out some things, and then spent the next 15 minutes trying to get this poncho over my backpack. It's very much the hunchback look these days is coming into trend for walkers in the rain. Actually, look, this rain is pretty light. It could be a lot worse than this, so nothing really to complain about. Okay, cheers. Quite lovely here on these, I assume it's granite pavers or rocks, and climbing well into the valley here. You'll see in the distance that lake. We essentially, as we're looking toward the lake now, we essentially came up its left-hand side, or it was on our right as we were coming into town there. So that's essentially what we walked along the road. And I believe this path ultimately joins back up to the road, which could be the N693 or something up ahead here. But yeah, fairly hard going, but very pretty at the same time. Heavier than steady rain now. You may not see that on the camera. What is interesting is that we're now leaving Extremadura and passing into the region of Castilla y León. Some clever punter has blacked out the Castilla piece on that sign there. So we're moving into our third region now, Extremadura, Andalusia, and now Castilla y León. And I'm not sure, but I think, yeah, this carries us through to Galicia. I'm following the walkers in front. We've stayed up here on the road. Given it's raining, there is a path or a trail down there in the forest, but I suspect it might be getting a little wet down there now. And if there's any creek crossings, then that won't be overly pleasant. So anyway, look, we grind on. At least it's not cold, and I would suspect, okay, famous last words, but once we get through this pass here, because we have climbed to a pass of which we've probably got another kilometre or so, it might clear a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, look at that. Even the poor cows are miserable. Well, it was always going to happen. It looks like, yeah, very much on the northern side of that mountain range, or the northern side of the mountain range is catching the rain. Hope you can see this okay, but it's steady. Look, it's not super heavy, but heavy enough to give you the irrits. Actually, before too, there was on the road earlier, it said there was a sign there warning about ice. Now, obviously, it's not winter time now, so there's no risk of that today. But I wouldn't be surprised. The temperature is dropping, though. I mean, I'm in my little poncho cocoon here, madly sweating like a pig. Yeah, look, it's interesting. Fortunately, the feet don't feel wet just yet, but it's not going to take too much longer. But anyway, look, I thought I'd give you an update. It's the Camino, the Villa de Plata. You'll be happy to know, or at least I am happy to know, that the rain hasn't stopped, but it's much lighter now. It's become much lighter, and it's just walking along. It's quite amazing when you think about it. You saw the footage yesterday coming into Aldeanueva del Camino there, and just from the plains, how hot, well, not hot, it wasn't hot, but just how dry it looked. And even coming into town, you could see it was still, a relatively arid type setting. And then you set off in the morning, and within the course of, a couple of hours walking, 13, 14, 15 Ks, it totally changes. You can see now on the northern side of the mountains, they're capturing the rain. And look at it here. The other day, I told you they were over irrigating those areas there near St. Gil, and this doesn't probably need irrigation here. This is wet. And what's also odd is that it coincides almost exactly with the crossing from the regions, from one region into the other, Extremadura into Castilla y Leon. It's no big deal, but it's just the contrast. Even as a walker, and within the period of half a day's walking, it can actually change so much. Having said that, it's probably teeming with rain on the other side of the hills today as well. Who knows, right? But this, you can see, is greener, is lush, and I think I might have rain on the lens. But the transformation within a couple of hours walking is just remarkable. Having a feast in there. Back on the road again, you can actually see the trails just off to the right there, but it is quite rocky in places, and this road appears to be really, really quiet. So we're on this for the next couple of kilometres anyway, I'm sure. And the rain sort of picked up, and now it's backed off again, which is perhaps not a bad thing, but just very pleasant walking through here. But I said yesterday we'd be going into the hills, and we're definitely into the hills now. We've just been coming downhill on the unmade path there for some distance, very rocky in places, but there was a gradual decline for a couple of Ks, I think. Seem to be climbing again, but I think this is going to be the course until we get through this range here. But just show you over there. It's quite beautiful, isn't it? Just grinding up this rise here. We're not far out of Calzada de Bejar. Once we left the road there before, there was quite a climb through a rutted and almost washed out path. This looks reasonable now. Well, this is actually decent now, but before it was quite tough going, very rocky, very stony, and quite steep. So I assume we're trying to sort of find our way between that and through that gap there into the next valley. And they have picked it probably pretty nicely, but I think as a result of the weather here, these paths, particularly the steep sections, just must get washed out during heavy rainfall. They almost look like riverbeds to some degree. Well, this is a dripping wet welcome from Calzada de Bejar. Very quiet here. Gee. But some beautiful properties. Look at these ones here. Those balconies. We've got here the central square or plaza and the church. Let's just check out the other side here. Yeah, not much going on today, but given the weather, everybody's probably just stayed indoors, and I don't blame them. It's interesting, we've had, good weather, and we knew we were going to get rain on this walk. I mentioned the other day that you don't want to be walking in pain because you're just not going to enjoy your walking. I think the challenge is too that walking in the rain, it's not as what is this? Is not as enjoyable either. I don't know how you can enjoy your walking in the rain. We're very lucky today though that this is not heavy rain, but nevertheless, it's just a little more complex.